right, welcome to Sports Talk Live Tuesday edition. We're going to do things a little bit different from here on out. We're going to do more of a podcast type of feel. We're just going to have no cameras, and we're going to just have a little bit better audio so we can have, just better debate, talking back and forth, because we noticed that there's been some lag on like our end. But as always, I am your host, Michael Buckheister, straight from Louisville, Kentucky, and we have a special guest today. We have Billy Hatton from Unpopular Opinion. Billy, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Appreciate you for having me, Mike.
Hey man, we're always glad to have somebody from your neck of the woods. And we have and as always, we have Matthew Lau from Cross Sports Network. Matthew, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. On vacation this week, so I'm just chilling. Always happy to talk in sports.
Do some vacay. Well, congratulations on the vacation, man. You deserve it. You work hard.
So I like to think.
Oh, alrighty here. So, I mean, summer is always kind of a slow time for sports. Let's be honest here. So, I mean, we're just going to keep beating that dead horse. LeBron James moved to the Lakers. Do you guys think LeBron James will be the greatest Laker ever? Billy, let's go ahead and start with you.
It depends on how you're asking that question. The greatest Laker, I think the only way he can become the greatest Laker, he would have to beat this Warrior team. I believe that'd be the only way that he can become, one of the great Lakers, because of the caliber of talent that he'll have to go against.
So
we
are
know
you
Kobe
basing
won
off
5
the greatest
championships.
Laker off of championships?
Well, if we're doing I can go championships, but if we go just straight, who's the better Laker? LeBron is already the best player to ever don a Lakers uniform. I think he's only looking up at Michael Jordan, who played in Chicago. So if we're looking from that standpoint, I believe he's already the greatest Laker. But if we're going just in talent of as far as who's the best who has the most accomplishments in a Laker uniform, I think the only thing that can put him ahead of a guy like Kobe is he would have to go win a ring and beat this Warriors team. That's the only way. This Warriors team, no other team. It can't be Houston, can't be OKC. It can't be none of these other. I don't think he has to beat them this year, because I think that would just be putting the impossible on him. But within this 4-year contract, within year 2 and 3, I believe he has to do something, because I believe in year 4 we're going to start seeing that decline, and then after that it's over with for him.
All right, Matthew, what are your opinions on that?
Okay, so for anybody who's watched the show before, my stance on LeBron is winning is no longer number one for him.
You are a LeBron hater, let's be honest.
No, I'm not a LeBron hater. I'm not a LeBron fan. So, like Billy said, there's 2 parts to this. If you're talking greatest player to ever don the Lakers uniform, even though technically he hasn't worn one yet, then he just has to keep doing what he's doing. Maybe, like Billy said, then if he can beat the Warriors, win another ring or 2, get to 4, get to 5, then there's a possibility. But if you want him to be the greatest Laker ever, you got to remember this man's clock has now been reset. There is now, because the only thing that goes into this is things he has done in a Lakers uniform, and he does not have enough time. We're not talking about the Washington Wizards. We're not talking about the Miami Heat. We're not talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. We're talking about one of the best programs or organizations in the NBA as far as the history goes. He doesn't have enough time to pass Kobe, to pass Kareem, to pass Shaq. He doesn't have time for that. He's already doing, surprisingly, with what he's doing at his age, the fact that he would have to win 4 or 5 rings as a Laker to become the greatest Laker. Because if we're just basing it on if we're just basing on his Laker tenure, you got to remember that clock starts now. That reset button has been hit. He is 0-0 as far as anything goes in a Lakers uniform. If we're just looking at his tenure as a Laker, he has a lot of work to do, and I don't think he has the time.
So let me ask you this. Rumors have been, well, like I guess they're not really rumors. Reports have been said that LeBron wants to play with his son in the NBA. And I believe it was in 4 years he is able to play like his son will be eligible for the draft. Do you think LeBron kind of puts it in coast mode for this, 1-2 years, and kind of just sets back, saves his body, so when that 5th year comes and he's able to play with his son side by side, that he'll be able to win a championship? Billy, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think he's going to be in coast mode, and I don't think that, like Matthew said, I do think he's there to win. From the moment he got into the NBA, his only motive was to chase Michael Jordan. That's all he heard. Michael Jordan. That's why he went to Miami, so he can chase Michael Jordan. He went back to Cleveland because Miami no longer provided him that opportunity to chase Michael Jordan anymore. So he went to Cleveland. Cleveland no longer provided him that opportunity.
Well,
he's going to the Lakers to win championships.
Let me stop you right there. Do you I think LeBron James went to Miami to learn how to win. Once he learned how to win, then he went back to Cleveland to do what he set out in the first time, and that is to bring, a championship to Cleveland.
I think that's partly right. I hate when people say that he went there to learn how to win a championship. I mean, what is it to learn when you were playing against some of the greatest Spurs of all time? You were playing against some of the greatest players in Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett of all time with no help. So how is it learning how to win when you never had the team? Nobody is saying that he's learning how to win right now because he can't beat the Warriors, because we all know the Warriors are better. So he went to a better situation. Not that he learned how to win, because that first year they lost.
They did lose. Even
with Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley and all these guys who they say taught him how to win. So, the teaching him how to win thing, I think that's false. He went to a better situation because the best player that they could give him was a 36-year-old Shaq. Like, so teaching him how to win, I don't think that's fair to LeBron to say, Miami taught him how to win. No, he just went to a better team and they won because they were better than everybody else that they were going against.
Matthew, do you have any thoughts on that one?
All right, so a couple things. First thought of what you were saying about his son, I think that is a goal of his. With the one-and-done rule or whatever college basketball is doing or the NBA, I don't know how long he'll have to wait, but it's the NBA. So, the Lakers allowed us to drag out a half-beaten Kobe. Jordan, well past the prime. He doesn't have to coast to be, unless barring any major injury or major tragedy, he doesn't have to coast. He can keep doing what he's doing, and they'll keep paying him because the NBA goes off faces more than anything. Now, to the other point, I'm going to have to agree with Billy here. Okay, so yeah, but ironically, I'm going to take Billy's point and make it kind of point to what I was saying. So yes, when he came in, he did have to catch 6. That was the thing. He couldn't do it in Cleveland. He found a way to do it in Miami, but he realized it wasn't enough. He only got 2 out of 4 chances. I do think coming back to Cleveland was, yes, Miami no longer had nothing to offer him, but I also think he did not expect to catch that much flack for the decision, which I think was a great thing. It donated tons of money, but I don't think he anticipated getting that much flack. I don't think he anticipated getting that much flack for the quote-unquote super team at the time. So I think he wanted to save some face and come back to Cleveland. And then, even that, he built his own quote-unquote team, and that only resulted in 1 ring. So, yes, everything Billy was saying, I don't think it was learn how to win. I think he already knew how to win. He's one of the greatest of all time. I think he already knew that. I think the trip to Miami was to get not 1, the old saying, not 4, not 5, not 6.
Yep.
I think he went down there to get not 4, not 5, not 6, and he only came away with 2. And then he only came away with 3. So he's realized that 15 years into his career, he's only halfway there. That it's going to, by the law of average, it's going to take him another 15 years to catch that. I think he knows he doesn't have that. He wants to work on other things. Or like I said last week, the report came out about he wanted to own an NBA team, an NFL team. So he's out to LA if he can pick up another ring, great. But he's got bigger illusions of grandeur than 6 now.
Well,
and that does come with playing with his son.
Well, and he also has a production company out in LA, and he wanted for that to start to grow as well. So,
if I'm not mistaken, I believe he sold comedy already. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already made movies though, you know, Trainwreck, and nobody made a big deal out of that. You know why? Because he was winning. Now that he's losing, that's when we all magnify. You know, he's trying to build this brand, but he made a movie already, and he won a championship, and everybody, oh yeah, it was a good movie, and everybody scoffed at it. But now that he's losing, now he's only going to LA to build his brand.
Not to go down this rabbit hole, but Trainwreck was not a good movie. I don't think he made it. I think he just
it wasn't a good movie, but he was in the movie and nobody said anything. You know, let LeBron. He went out to dinner with 2 movie stars and everybody lost their mind just for going to dinner. Everybody lost their mind. He's only out here to build his brand, but he was in a whole movie and nobody said anything.
Look, I don't think it's that bad. But I've been talking to some other people. That's my thought. Is that's why he wants this veteran team, because when he's out there shooting Space Jam 2 or Space Jam 4 or Trainwreck 2 or whatever he's in, he wants to be able to come from production and show up 5 minutes before the game. You can't do that with Lonzo Ball and young eyes watching you. If you want to be able to just coast in 5 minutes before tip-off from shooting RoboCop 6 or whatever he may find himself doing, you're going to have veteran leaders. It's like, hey, that's LeBron. I know he has his stuff together. He's going to be able to handle his game. Look, I'm not saying he's putting basketball completely on the back burner, and I'm not saying he's wrong for whatever his motives are. He's a grown man. He's had a great NBA career. He's done a lot for the community and for the league. He can do whatever he wants. But I'm just saying, I think he's got a bucket list now. He's got a list of things he wants to check off, and somewhere in the middle is chasing 6. It's like when you make that grocery list, you're like, oh, if I'm out and about, maybe I'll stop by and pick up a Red Box. No, he's got to think of the list he wants to do, and if it just happens to happen, he'll chase 6 again. But right now, he wants to add to his legacy. He wants to work on other things post-career. He wants to get his son right. You know, I've seen him more at his son's game than I have anything else in the summer, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think he's just focused on other things.
I think that's a part of just being a good parent. I mean,
absolutely.
Well, yeah, that too, because he always does that. My thing is, this offseason for LeBron has been nothing different than any other offseason. I said it on my podcast when everybody was talking about, you know, he haven't talked to Luke Walton and all this other stuff. I said LeBron has a set thing where he do every offseason. He go on vacation with his family. When he come back, he start posting workout videos. What did he do? He came back from vacation. He's already in the gym working out. I also said he's going to start going to summer league games because that's what he do every year. What did he do? He go to a summer league game. So I don't think anything is different this offseason than any other offseason. The only difference is he's in LA and everything is just more. It's just more in the spotlight because he's in LA. Everything is in LA. LeBron, LA. All his son's tournaments is in LA. You know, his son's supposed to be going to school in LA. Everything is just magnified now because he's in LA. He's not doing anything any different than he's done any other year, you know? So, I mean, I get why, I mean, you made some good points and I get it. I just still think basketball is still at the top of his list based on the team he went to, because the team he went to has enough cap room to make sure that winning is a priority.
So you can have basketball be at the top of your list, but maybe some things prioritized. Example, I don't think championships are on the top of Kyrie's list. You know, and I'm not going down that drain, but I'm just saying you can have basketball, but it not be champions. And I'm a big Tom Brady fan. I think Tom Brady is doing the exact same thing. He is focusing. He is getting what is the next 20 years of my life looking like. I still can dominate. I can still do good at my level, but what does the next 20 years of my life look like? That's why he put out, for the first time ever, the Patriots player, not just Tom Brady, a Patriots player put out a movie, a video, a show peeping into my life. They're getting ready. LeBron and Tom Brady and these guys are getting ready for the next 20 years. They see this is a new genre. This is a time where if you're a good athlete, you can do anything.
Well, Matthew, let me stop you right there. I mean, like, they can definitely plan for the future, but if you are playing the game to not win a championship, like, I feel that is 100% false statement. if you have a competitive bone in your body, you want to win a championship. You don't want to go out there and be a 500 team, a 600 team. You want to be in the NBA Finals, winning a championship at all costs. So for like him to, for like you to say that he is putting championships on the back burner just to become a movie star or something to that effect, like, I can't agree with that or let you even speak on that, because that, I mean, as a athlete, like at some point we were all athletes, and just to say to go out there like we're happy of being mediocre, that can't be right.
Why did he went to the Lakers? If he wanted to play anywhere else, he could have built with any other team. He could have went to the Warriors if he wanted a championship, because we know that's where it's going to be next year. So no, it's not all about that. I mean, we want to think we want that because we look up to athletes. We look up to them because they're doing the thing we were never quite good enough to do at the level we weren't able to do it at. So we want to be able to say, man, they got the best. They all he wants a ring. It's not true. Melo, we're going to talk about Melo. Melo cares about him and himself, number one.
That's a different story.
Vince Carter,
I get
that.
Oh, I get that, but we're talking LeBron though. We're talking LeBron,
the greatest player ever.
Yeah, we're talking about the only thing he cares about is championships, because he has nothing else to prove, regular season wise or even playoff wise. LeBron James knows he's only measured by one thing and one thing only, and that's winning championships.
Maybe he cared. Maybe he'd be excited to win one by himself, but we all know that's not going to happen. Because
no, it's not going to happen.
The team. So
what do you mean win one by himself?
Say it for him. You guys can say it for him, and he can say it all he wants. But I think we all do it with our job. You know, when we go to the work gets a different percentage of us. We may be saying we're giving 100%, but based on the outliers and the situation around us, that 100% is different.
That's apple to oranges.
If you have something to do, what?
That is apple to oranges. Like you cannot compare us going to work a 9-to-5 job and being at work and going to NBA.
I'm comparing human nature. Human nature is when there's other things around you that have your focus, something is going to take a back burner. He is out there preparing for his future. He is out there to raise his kids and to raise his family. He is out there to shift focus. Now, he may look, there may be 20, there's a part of him that still wants to win rings, I'm sure, but that's not going to be his main focus. You're going to see it. LeBron James is not going to win another ring. He's not going to make another ring.
So I ask you, what team should he have went to that would have made people think that he want to win? Because I don't think there's no other team out there that he could have possibly went to that would have, I would say, guarantee him to be in the conversation of winning a championship. I know people say, I don't like those young guys.
Golden State or Boston?
I don't think Golden State had the cap room. LeBron already said back in 2010 he's not going to play for anything less than the max. Golden State.
No, then there you go. You proved my point that money is more than rings. Because does LeBron need the max? No. You proved my point right there.
He don't need the max, but why go play with Golden State when we criticize Kevin Durant for going to a team that he couldn't beat?
I didn't. That's fine. He don't have to go. But if you're going to tell me that if Mike's going to sit there and say winning is his number one priority, then he would have went to Golden State or Boston. There's no other way around it.
Well,
he couldn't have went to Boston.
Yeah.
Why?
How could he?
They don't have a power forward.
What were they going to do? Trade away? They would have had to get rid of pieces to get him.
Not if he would have taken enough pay cut.
And Danny Ainge already showed that he don't care. He's content with the team that he has now.
Well, then fine. Go to Golden State. If he would have took a 5-year, whatever the thing, the agreement that DeMarcus Cousins took, 5 years or $5 million. LeBron's.
So you telling me LeBron James is going to pay for $5 million? I don't think so. He went to the Los Angeles Lakers, who had enough cap room to sign somebody else this year.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll put it this way. If they had got Kawhi Leonard right after LeBron signed to LA, will we be sitting here having this conversation about
absolutely.
he's only in LA to make movies? Because I don't think we have that conversation if he have a better team already.
I am. I am, because even Kawhi Leonard and Paul George isn't going to beat the Warriors.
Ooh.
No, they're not, but they're a better team. People are saying he's melling it in this year because of the team he has. And it just don't make any sense. They just swung and missed on the free agents that they wanted to get. They wanted to get a Paul George. They wanted to get a Kawhi. They just couldn't.
The thing is, you're talking about people. I'm talking about me. I don't know nor care what other people say. My thought is, the thing that started this discussion was me. My thought, LeBron went there to focus on the next part of his career. Well, now if they could have surrounded him with 5 All-Stars, that would have been great. But I don't think.
I think that's partly right. Yeah, he went there to build his career. I was in the military, and I was already applying for jobs before I even got out the military. Everybody thinks about. You have to think about afterlife. You just can't jump in it whenever. Yeah, I just do it whenever I get there. No, of course he's thinking about after basketball, but I believe right now his main focus is playing basketball, winning championships. Yeah, he's thinking about doing all that other stuff. But like I said, who doesn't after their career?
If he was looking to win championships, he would have went to the Warriors. There's no way about it. If that was his number one focus, like you guys have said, he would have went to the Warriors.
But that's an unrealistic. That's an unrealistic.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
If all of a sudden that peaking on real life isn't comparing apples and oranges, let me go back to that. When you get to the point of your career where you're looking, when you were in the military or whatever, and you may not admit it here, but if you think about it, if you get to the point where you're filling out applications for other jobs, you are not giving your job the same 100% you gave them at the beginning. That's just fact. Now, I said somewhere on that list is him winning rings. He would like to. He'd be happy. He'd be excited. He'd celebrate. I'm not saying he would hate it, but if it was his number one, no other go, like you guys are making sense, then why did he go to the Lakers? The Rockets would have been a better option than the Lakers.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and stop you right there, Matthew. I feel like we could debate about this all day, and we'll never get to a solid conclusion. But perfect segue into the Rockets.
The conclusion is I'm right. You guys aren't, but that's
okay. Well, moving on. Carmelo Anthony, this guy. Speaking of championships, he is milking Oklahoma City for $24 million. Traded to Atlanta. I believe he got waived already, milking them for $23 million.
Yeah, he's already signed with Houston.
Yeah, so is Melo going to is Houston doomed? Like, are they doomed to be like Oklahoma City and all the other teams that Melo has played for? Matthews, go ahead and start with you.
Absolutely. Melo, I said this last time, Melo only cares about himself. He's gone out there because he thinks it's going to be a Magic playing with his buddy Chris Paul, and Chris Paul may be able to tone him in a little bit. But haven't we seen Melo and D'Antoni try to work together? I don't think it worked out well.
Yep.
Exactly. So, and the Rockets, actually, the reason the Rockets are doomed isn't 100% Melo. It's the guys they couldn't re-sign. But Melo's going to make it worse because Melo's going to come in and be like, look at me. I told you I'm not a bench player, and he's going to show you how he should have been a bench player. Now, if he comes in and takes the role Swaggy P, or what are we going to call him, took for the Warriors, we might see a better Melo. We might see a better Rockets team, and in fact, a better Melo. But that's not going to happen. There's a reason AI never did that. AI said, I'm out, I'm down. Melo, he's showing denial. So he's going to wreck this team. Now, the team's going to be good enough to make the playoffs, but they are going to be this year's Oklahoma City Thunder. You look at the roster and you say, oh, I bet they're in first or second place. Then you look at the rankings and they're fighting for 6 or 7.
Billy, what are your thoughts on that?
I only agree with one thing, but to say that he's going to be a bench player or he's going to show that he should have been a bench player, I think that's false. Melo is a career 24 points per average game, 24 points per game. He averaged 16 points last year in Oklahoma City when he took the fewest shots of his entire career. But he upped his three-pointers made was the most in his career. So that tells me something. He's just sitting in the corner waiting for the ball. That's not Melo's game. He's a rhythm shooter. He's a volume shooter, just like AI that you spoke of. These guys have to get shots off to be effective. And when you're a natural scorer and you're just standing around to get the ball, of course you're not going to play up to who you supposed to be. Playing with Russell Westbrook, he'll pass the ball, but he's not a willing passer. He passes when he has to. Paul George is also a scorer at heart. He's not used to passing the ball. When he comes over to Houston, although him and Mike D'Antoni had their things in New York, I think that was for different reasons because they were losing. They already said, Mike D'Antoni said that's in the past. He's playing with Chris Paul and James Harden, guys who's going to want to get him the ball. And we're going to see a different Melo this year when he feels that he's a part of something. Last year, he didn't feel like he was a part of anything. From the get-go, they was talking about putting him on the bench, start making him come off the bench as a sixth man. When you haven't even gave it a shot yet, people forget when Miami came together, they were 20-21. So it's not going to work right away when you got new people coming together. I think Chris Paul gets Melo the ball a lot more. I think he gets him a lot of easy shots. I think James Harden is going to be able to get Melo a lot more easy shots, and we're going to see Melo get up to that 22 points per game this year.
Okay, so let me recap. Let me just process everything that you just said there. Okay, so you said Melo's not a set in the corner catch and shoot, but that's what the Rockets need because that's how Harden operates.
They're all driving
the ball
pass.
He dances around, drives it, passes it. So, but that's not going to work because you said that's not what Melo does. Chris Paul does like him. They are a little better friends, so I think he's going to want him to succeed, and that fits Chris Paul's game a little better, but still. So, now some other thoughts here. The Warriors are an anomaly. They are the exception to the rule. When you see three, we talked about this before the show with Kevin Love. When you see 3 stars on a team, one's not going to work. One's just not going to be his potential. That's going to be Melo. Melo's going to get frustrated. You talked about the first year, it doesn't work out. Here's the thing. Melo is counting down the years. Melo is being pushed out the door by Father Time. Melo don't have the same luxury that LeBron's having. Melo is being pushed out the door. Melo panics. I'm telling you, if the first 30 games don't start like he wants it to, it's a wrap. You will see Melo implode. It will be a wrap. Where was Melo in the playoffs? Partly on the bench. He was never in there on crunch time. Now, you gave me your reason. But the thing is, when he goes to Houston, he's going to do the same stuff. He's going to be forced to stand in the corner because when you're going to see like some anxious player on 2K, when James Harden got the ball at the top of the key and Melo's yelling for the ball, that's not what Harden does. Harden's going to dance around and either shoot it over you, drive past you, and for the chances that you stop both of those, he's going to dish it out to the guy standing waiting for the three, which we agree is not going to be Melo.
So let me ask you guys this question. I feel that Carmelo Anthony would be great coming off the bench, giving them 12, 13 points a game.
I agree.
Matthew, you're with me.
I don't.
You're with me, and
I don't.
You're with me. So let me pose this question for you. Let's say Carmelo Anthony buys into coming off the bench, and he averages at 12 to 13 points a game. I mean, he is, 34 years old? Do you think the Rockets can overtake the Warriors with him becoming a role player off of the bench? Matthew, let's go ahead and start with you on that one.
Well, no. I mean, they're not going to. They will be much more successful. They will be much more reflective of kind of what they were last year. He'll fit in D'Antoni's system a little better. But Melo could come out to what he was in Denver, and they could all work together with a big smile on their face, and it's not going to be enough to overtake Golden State. I mean, I'm just being honest.
So with Melo coming off the bench, do they make it to the Eastern or the Western Conference Finals?
They could. That's a possibility. If it works well all season, they could. Now, I mean, we could also have another discussion about every other team in the West, how they're going to develop. But just kind of having this conversation, they could. Their percentages are much higher than Melo trying to duplicate what he had in Denver.
Billy, what are your thoughts?
I don't think he's going to be good coming off the bench. We already seen what kind of person Melo is when, hinting towards he's supposed to be coming off the bench. And I don't think he's a bench player. I still think he's a starter. Coming off the bench, I'm a big guy on morale. and he's going to bring the morale of the team down once you bring him off the bench. And I'm not saying you're supposed to appease to the player if he's not working out. I'm just saying to start off and bring him off the bench, that makes no sense to me. And Matthew, back to your other point about the playoffs, OKC likes to play fast. That's never been Melo's game, to play a fast-paced game. What Houston likes to do is slow the ball down. Harden will give it up. We've seen him give it up to Chris Paul and all these other guys in the playoffs, especially in the playoffs when his butthole get a little tight. So
did you just say the word slow offense and D'Antoni in the same sentence?
The way Houston likes to play, they don't play fast. You just said it yourself. James Harden dribble, shoot the ball. That's slow. That's not fast paced.
But it is because still get a shot off within the first 8 seconds. I mean, they had the highest points possession. They were one of the fastest teams last year, and that's in the same season with the Warriors and the same Oklahoma.
Those numbers can also be misconstrued because I see James Harden dribbling down the shot clock. I also see Chris Paul dribbling down the shot clock. So I think Melo games fit with their style of play because they are more willing passers than anybody he has ever played with. We know Chris Paul likes to get dimes. James Harden also likes to get dimes. He likes to score, but he also likes to get dimes. I think getting Carmelo in the game early and often is going to be good. It's the same, we were talking earlier on the phone about Kevin Love. What happened when Cleveland gave Kevin Love the ball early and often? What happened? We seen a different Kevin Love. We seen 27-point Kevin Love. We seen 15 points in one quarter Kevin Love when he's getting the ball. When you're not getting the ball, of course you're not going to be happy. You're not going to want to play any defense. Not like you play any anyway, but you're not going to want to play defense, and you're not going to be able to shoot.
Making $24 million a year, though, you should be playing no matter what happens. I mean, like, I don't care if you're averaging 4 points a game. You should be giving all. I mean, let's be honest.
If he couldn't cut it with the guy who got the most assists in the past 2 seasons in Westbrook, I think it's just going to – I mean, Harden just doesn't remind me of the type of guy that's going to share anything, let alone a spotlight in a mediocre-sized market in Houston. We'll see, but I think it'll be imploded by All-Star break.
All right, Billy, one final thoughts on this. Billy, are you there?
Say again?
Final thoughts on this.
I think he's going to be good playing with them. I just do. I'm just of that nature that he can make it work with these guys. So much will and passes. We'll never see until the season comes. But I believe that'll be Houston is a good fit for him.
All right. Well, speaking of aging superstars, Tom Brady. The question always arises: is he the greatest QB ever? Billy or Matthew, let's go ahead and start with you. Is Tom Brady the greatest QB ever?
Yes. Greatest of all time. Go. The man has done it all, and he's going to play for 5 more years. So give the man 2 more Super Bowl rings and a bunch more stats.
That's a bold statement there, Cotton.
I got more, but I got so much that I'm going to hear what kind of erroneous statements you two are going to make before I come back with my response. So, I'll let you guys pick your own destiny on this. But that's my opening thought on that.
All right, Billy. Is Tom Brady the greatest quarterback of all time?
I definitely do not agree. Tom Brady is not the greatest quarterback of all time. He's 5-3 in Super Bowls, and we can make. Me and you were talking about this earlier today, Matthew. He's 5-3, but that could have easily been 2-5. We got the Tuck rule. We have Spygate. We have, take your pick at Miami. At Atlanta, choking away, the Super Bowl. Seattle choking away the Super Bowl. Now he had the stats, but I hear a lot of times stats don't matter. I know, I hear LeBron James led both teams in every major category, and you know what they said? Well, he lost the game. It doesn't matter. So only thing that matters is wins and losses at the end of the day. I just don't think he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of my generation. I will say that. But the greatest of all time, no, I don't think so.
And
So,
I
yeah,
have to compile on that. Like Tom Brady is a top 5 quarterback of all time, but he is not even the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now. Aaron Rodgers is hands and feet better than Tom Brady. Matthew, go ahead.
All right, so first off, yes, he could. I'm not even going to address the Aaron Rodgers thing. Get that out of here. Let's go back to what Billy was saying. Yes, they could be 2-5, but they could also be an 8-0. So let's just look, because and hey, I get you. Stats do mean something to me. I'm not all hate on LeBron in that point, but that's basketball. He gets to play as much possessions as he wants. Tom Brady had nothing to do with not getting to Eli. He had nothing to do to Rodney Harrison allowing that catch on the head. He had nothing to do with Mario managing him up the side. He had nothing to do with Doug Baldwin catching it on his calf. But what he did have something to do, yes, you could say the Falcons gave it away, and I would even be there for you on that if there had been a pick six involved or a fumble for recovery or a long run. Tom Brady said, I got you in the second half and was nearly perfect. Threw for the most yards ever in a Super Bowl, coming back from the biggest deficit ever in a Super Bowl. And not one of those passes, if I'm not mistaken, went for longer than 25 yards. So everything he did, minus Edelman's great catch, was 100% Tom Brady. And Tom Brady is doing this at an age where most people can't even find a practice squad. And he's saying, and he's so confident in it, and the team's so confident in it, hey, you got a good backup? No, go to San Francisco because we got this guy for 5 more years. If that's not the greatest, I don't know what is. I guarantee you the Packers are starting to look for their backup.
Well, let me ask you this. We've seen this many times. When Tom Brady tore his ACL, 2010 I think it was? I'm not 100% sure on the year. But the Patriots were still a playoff team. When Aaron Rodgers goes down last year, the Packers are a 2-8 team.
Well, let me stop you right there. The Patriots did not make the playoffs in 2008 when he tore his ACL, but continue.
But they were still a 500 team.
They were 11-5.
Yeah.
They were 11-5 that year.
Well, I mean, they're also a much better team. I mean, I will admit that the Packers are trash without the Packers are just trash in general. They just happen to be somewhat important because they do have a good quarterback. But I guarantee you, if Drew Brees went down, the Saints wouldn't struggle as bad as the Packers did. But if that's the case, I mean, shoot, then where's Matt Stafford? Because if he goes down, the Lions are probably 2-14. But I mean, those are just facts.
I'm just not of the mindset of he probably could have won all those Super Bowls and it took whatever. But I do remember Tom Brady only scoring 14 points in a Super Bowl. I do remember him being down to the Falcons and the Falcons letting up because when they were playing in that Super Bowl, the Patriots couldn't get anything going. It wasn't until they started going to the prevent defense. Well, now he could start eating those holes up. Bringing up the Super Bowl from last year. He threw 500 yards, but he had a costly turnover at the end of the game, which greats shouldn't do. If he was playing basketball or some other sport, we'll be saying that he choked. But we don't because it's Tom Brady and he's playing football. He dropped a wide open pass. I mean, I get it. He's 40 years old, but he was wide open, and we talked about this earlier. That would have been the difference in the game because that was a third down play. Imagine them extending the drive on a quarterback on Tom Brady catching the pass. So I get it. I just don't think of the greatest of all time. I'm not ready to put him there because even in his earlier Super Bowls, he wasn't even the guy that got them there. He was just the quarterback. Mm-hmm. He's the one that get the wins and losses. That's it. But in those earlier Super Bowls, he wasn't Tom Brady.
Allow me to address some fallacies that you brought up here. A, the Falcons did not give it away. If anything, the Falcons didn't play it conservative enough. The fact that they still continued to pass the ball and thought they could embarrass Tom Brady was their downfall. So mark one up for hubris there. As far as playing prevent defense, okay, maybe there was a couple of times they played prevent defense, but all the Falcons had to do was stop probably the hardest to convert play in football other than the onside kick. is a 2-point conversion on the 2-yard line where you have defenders everywhere, because you only have a 10-yard end zone. They couldn't do it. And then in overtime, you got to score a game. You got to stop them from going on a drive. You couldn't do it. You want to talk about the Eagles? Yes, he threw for 500 yards. You want to say he choked because he had a turnover? He didn't throw an interception. He got sacked, which it was a sack fumble. And if you watch the film, which I have, Patriots fan, cried my eyes out like I was watching The Notebook. He had 1.8 seconds to get off the ball. What they say, give me 3 seconds. You got half of that. So that's not his fault. Props to the Eagles on that. And you want him to catch a pass from a guy that isn't a quarterback?
No, I don't, but his team did. They called a play, not me, but they called it, so they thought he could do it.
Look, they called it wrong. If it would have been with Edelman, I would have been all for that, because Edelman played quarterback. Danny Amendola never played quarterback. You want to talk about Nick Foles catching it? He caught it from Trey Burton, who at least threw for 20 touchdowns in his career at Florida. So that's one thing. I'm just saying.
So you telling me that pass that he threw Brady wasn't catchable? Brady got I played receiver. Brady got alligator arms because he thought he was going to get hit, and he was wide open. He short-armed it. He short-armed it.
Tom has never played receiver.
So why did they call the play in the most important game of the year then? Because they already practiced this play. They didn't just bring this out like, yeah, Tom, you're just going to run over here. I'm going to have Danny Amendola throw you the ball. They practiced this play. So they felt comfortable enough in the Super Bowl.
That's not on Tom Brady. That was a bad pass to a receiver.
No, it wasn't. He short-armed the reception because he thought he was going to get hit.
There was a 15
Go back and watch it.
Yeah.
He short-armed it. He reached for it, and then he pulled his arm back, and it went right off his fingertips because he thought he was going to get hit.
Horrible pass. It was way overthrown.
If Brady throws that pass,
alligator
exactly. If Brady throws that pass to a receiver, we would all say he should have caught that ball because that's a good ball.
Yep.
So why is it not a good ball on the other side?
Because he's not a receiver. So
No. We can't take the player into account. We're talking about the throw. You said the throw was not a good throw. The throw was a good throw. Brady short-armed it. He alligator-armed it.
That would be like if you discounted Shaq. You would call Shaq choking if he got the ball in a rough position and had to hell up a 3-point shot. You're not going to take away from Shaq's career because he missed a wide-open 3-pointer. No, get out of here with that. And another thing, and even as a non-fan of LeBron, I'll still take us back on this. Why do we only start counting important games? Everybody wants to say, oh, Joe Montana, 4-0 in the Super Bowl. He played more than 4 years.
I definitely agree. But we're only –
who's your great? Give me a quarterback that made it to the Super Bowl every time and then won it every time. Who's your greatest of all time?
You want me to answer that, bro?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure Joe has never lost the Super Bowl, right?
Right, but so we magically give him a pass because
no, I'm not saying I'm not saying Joe Montana is the greatest. I'm just saying I just answered your question. I'm just saying I get it. I'm with you on that. The big games to me doesn't matter because I always ask people, didn't Jordan play 15 seasons? What happened to the other 9 seasons? I get that, but the only reason why we're talking Tom Brady in the greatest conversation of all time is because of the Super Bowls he won, right? And the Super Bowls he went to, not because of.
I think he's the greatest by the entire picture. Look at this body of work he's done. Look at the passes. Look at the accuracy on him. Look at the decision making. The slowest man in probably combine history is like a ghost inside the pocket. But I asked you who your greatest of all time was. You said Joe Montana, and then you said it wasn't Joe Montana.
No, I answered your question because you said give me a quarterback that's undefeated in Super Bowls. Okay. And that's why I said, did you want me to answer that?
Yeah, so the question stands, who is the greatest quarterback?
I'm going to say Dan Marino. And he never won a ring. Because I don't care about rings. I just care about what I see on the field. So when you ask me about Tom Brady, no, I don't think he is. I think Dan Marino is, and that's probably a stretch to some people, but that's my opinion. And all this stuff is subjective, but Tom Brady just doesn't do it for me. He stopped probably top 2. He's probably top 3 of all time. I get it, but the greatest of all time, no.
Let me ask you this question then. So, just talking to you and your point that you made there, you made a very valid point. And hey, I don't count rings. Rings aren't everything either, especially in a sport like football where there's so many different.
So many people. Yep.
But at no point in your argument against Tom Brady did you ever bring up things you saw on the field. That's fine if that's not the way you want to go, but you can't cut down Tom Brady when I can go through and find you the same exact instances, maybe aside a drop pass, for Dan Marino. At no point did you say, if you want to be the GOAT to me, I need to see A, B, and C on the field. So if we're cutting down Tom Brady for these things, that knife is just as sharp for Dan Marino.
Of course, but the question was about Tom Brady. Do we think Tom is the greatest? I just don't see it. And I said it because, one, he wasn't even the best player on his team for those early Super Bowls. He just wasn't. He was a guy on the team. Yeah, he was the quarterback. He didn't make mistakes, but he wasn't the one winning them the games as he is now later in his career. So I just can't say that it's because of him. What if some of these other guys had better teammates, a Hall of Fame coach around him? Tom Brady's always had a great defense. That's something that we can go down the list of great defensive players that he's played with. So yeah, he might have not had the offensive weapons and all that other stuff, but he had a team. His special teams is always good.
So my only thing on that, I won't allow you to say it's as great, like, and name these defensive guys, which, I mean, you did, in all fairness. But that's got to be Bill Belichick, right? I mean, the defensive faces have changed. The names have changed. The defensive coordinators have changed. The only thing in common is Bill Belichick.
But the players that they were bringing in were good players. That's the Patriots way. They bring these guys in on 1-year deals, 2-year deals. When they don't fit, well, whatever. When Bill Belichick done had enough of you, he let them go. I mean, we've seen this with guys: Ty Law, Harrison, Wilford, who McGinnis, Ravel, Brewski. I mean, the number of defensive guys he's had on that team that's made Pro Bowls and all of this other stuff.
They make Pro Bowls under him. Tell me a player that he gets them from the trash, polishes them up, makes something good, and then he throws them right back in the trash.
I think that's false. That's false. He's had Darrelle Revis, who was already a top guy before he got there. I'm just saying. It doesn't matter when they were Pro Bowlers, because you actually made my point for me. They were Pro Bowlers playing on that team, which is the only thing that matters. That means when they was playing on the Patriots, they were good.
The position to be successful.
Say again?
Bill Belichick put them in a position to be successful.
Regardless of whether we don't disagree on that, but they were still good while playing for the Patriots, which is a benefit to who? A benefit to who?
I will allow you to take from Tom Brady is Bill Belichick.
Okay, so let's wrap this up real quick. One final question here. Matthew, for Tom Brady to be the greatest of all time, I feel he would have to be doing the same thing that he's doing on a different team. Does Tom Brady do this without Bill Belichick? Yes or no?
No. He's too close with Robert Kraft. If it was anyone else, I would say no one's safe. It is the NFL. But the relationship between him and Bob Kraft has already set precedence by his willingness to just ship Garoppolo for change. And I believe if any of them had to go, it would be Bill. So I don't think so, no.
All right, so moving on here. Up to the pick'ems now. NFC North pick'ems. Billy, who do you got?
I got the Minnesota Vikings winning that division again. I mean, they were 13-3 last year. I don't see how much change. They got better at quarterback, in my opinion. I mean, if you don't think Case Keenum, Kirk Cousins is better than Case Keenum, I mean, you got to Case Keenum bounced around the league. He wasn't even a passer. He wasn't even a threat this whole offseason. Their defense kept them in it, similar to what Jacksonville did with Blake Bortles. I think they got better at quarterback. They're getting Dalvin Cook back, the running back that they had last year, who was already doing good. Their rookie running back. Their defense is already nasty. Harrison Smith and Barr and Rose, I think they were the number one ranked defense in the NFL last year. I don't see how they dipped too far from 1, 2, or 3 this year. I think the Minnesota Vikings win that division.
All right, Matthew, what are your thoughts?
I mean, you have to go the same. I mean, I do think Cousins is an upgrade from any of the quarterbacks they had on the roster last year. I'm not 100% sold on him, kind of like the Redskins weren't. But
neither am I.
He's definitely an upgrade there. They returned Dalvin Cook, a great running back. I think he's going to develop. They got a slew of weapons with Rudolph and Thielen and Diggs.
Yeah.
The Packers, yes, they do get Rodgers, but, man, I just don't trust that defense. I never trust anything the Lions do, and I think the Bears are just too young. But I will say, and it's going to be a cop-out, but I will say, if at the end of the year, if you told me, Matt, pick a team that at the end of the year, you're going to look at that record and say, how? Because every year the NFL gives you one. Every year the NFL gives you a team. You look at that record, you look at that roster, and you're like, how are you not in the playoffs? If I had to pick one this year, my heart tells me Minnesota. I just feel like if ever there was a team that just goes to, I think it could be the Vikings. But that's kind of a cop-out. If I had to play with my heart and my head and kind of the safest, I'm going to say they're going to win, and probably pretty easily.
All right, Matthew, let me ask you this. You have been on record many times saying that when a team signs a contract to a quarterback, like the Vikings did to Kirk Cousins, he signed an $84 million 3-year contract with the Vikings, that basically those teams go to crap. And do you think the Vikings go to crap after this year?
Well, the clock is ticking. Then yes, because eventually Thielen's going to want to get paid. They got Thielen super cheap. Dalvin Cook's contract's going to come up in a couple of years. I know he was injured, but somebody they can lobby that against him. Those guys on defense are going to start to want to get paid. Because basically the way these defenses occur is you have a star player, and then you draft a cheap guy next to him, and then the star player plays so good that it allows the other guy to start putting up good numbers. So, for example, if you have a stud cornerback and your other corner, you got Rhodes on one side, they could put me and Billy on the other side, and we're probably going to get 4 picks. And then when we start,
and they have Trey Waynes. They have Trey Waynes, a guy who can do that.
So exactly. So then they're going to start coming. Pay me now, please. Look at my numbers. And so no, it's not going to bite them in the butt this year, and maybe not even next year. But that clock is ticking.
So Billy,
but the good thing is, you're going to do it. You only got Cousins for 3 years, so you can kind of put that fire out before it gets too bad.
Okay, so Billy, let me ask you this: with the Aaron Rodgers coming back healthy and possibly playing the full year, you don't like the Packers upsetting the Vikings and taking the crown?
I don't, and for the same reason that Matthew stated earlier, I just do not trust their defense. And Minnesota is not bad on offense. I mean, when you think about it, yeah, they got Kirk Cousins, but like I said earlier, they have Dalvin Cook. Matthew said earlier, they have Thielen and Rudolph and Diggs. They have some guys on offense that can make plays, when needed. Kirk Cousins can make the throws when needed. He probably can't do it often, but he can make the throws when needed. I just don't trust Green Bay defense. I trust Aaron Rodgers. I just do not trust their defense at all. I just don't.
Okay, so like the last 3 or 4 shows, like you guys have been pretty much the same picks all the way around here, winning the divisions. So if the Vikings don't win, who would be a sleeper to slide in there as the first pick? Matthew, let's start with you on this one.
I wish I could say something cool, like this is the year that the Lions show everything.
That's lies.
He's going to come out. But it's probably going to be Rodgers. And, I mean, that's not a cool pick because that's the pick that everyone kind of expects, unless you're not, unless you're a Packers hater.
Yeah.
But I care less about them one or the other. But, I mean, I would love for the Lions to get in there. I would love for Matt Stafford to take that next step and be talked about in the upper echelon. So I would love to see I'm always curious that next wave of quarterbacks. Who's the even next Carson Wentz? And it'd be cool to see Mitch Trubisky take that step, but I just don't think it's going to be. I think if it's not the Vikings, it will be the Packers.
Billy, what about you?
I'm going to go the complete opposite. I am going to say the Detroit Lions. I know it's tough. They still have Stafford. they added LeGarrette Blount, so they're going to have a consistent running game now. Sometimes a guy who's not he's not going to take over a game, but a guy who has the ability, to take over a game. When Stafford is throwing too much, they got a guy who they can turn around. They still have Golden Tate. They have a Marvin Jones. I like Ezekiel Ansah, the defensive end that they have. He's big time. I still think Darius Slay still have a lot left to prove in him. So just going way out on the limb, the Detroit Lions have an outside shot at making it, too, because they also have the benefit of playing a third-place schedule. They're not going to play the top teams throughout the NFL. They're going to play these middle-of-the-road teams, and I think that they could probably surprise some people.
And
now, what's going
go ahead.
What's going to pick your pick on there, Billy, is my favorite name in the NFL, Jim Bob Cooter. If he's very passive. He loves to sling that rock. If he can dedicate to the run, I think there's some truth to what you're saying. It's just Kenny, or do they just love letting Matt Stafford throw the ball? Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's nice. I just don't think he's there yet.
Okay, and I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Don't do it.
And
don't do it, Mike. Don't do it.
I'm got to go with the Chicago Bears. They have a new head coach.
Oh my God.
No. Listen here. Let's hear us out here. They've been beaten around for the last 3 or 4 years. They have a new head coach, new general manager, and just look who they play. They play the Cardinals. That's a win. They play the Buccaneers. That's a win. They're playing the Jets. That's a win. And they're playing the Detroit Lions twice. They have their number. I can see them going 8-8 easy.
I think the Bears is going to be worse than the Browns this year.
Oh, get out of here.
I think the Bears are going to be worse than the Browns. They still have Mitchell Trubisky, who I don't trust with a single bone in my body. I just don't. Like, who is he going to be throwing the ball to?
I don't know.
I don't like Trubisky.
To answer that question for you.
No, me neither. Neither. That's why I was asking. But I know it's nobody that I can think of.
I'm a firm believer of, let's look at the schedules here. Look who the Vikings play this season. They play the Patriots. They're playing the Eagles, and they're playing the Rams. I chalk those up as 3 losses right there. And then they got those division games with the Lions, with the Bears, with the other team, the Packers. They could easily be an 8-8 team as well, and they could come down to a head-to-head tiebreaker between the Vikings and the Bears.
Look, I'm all for iron sharpens iron and paper dulls scissors. So yes, the Viking schedule is tougher, but I think they'll be better for it. You ask, who does Mitch have to throw to? He has to throw to the same type of guys we've really been talking about all show, guys that look better by other people's talent. You know who he's got a receiver? Taylor Gabriel. Taylor Gabriel got threw away by the Browns. He did show out for the Falcons, but, man, who wouldn't? His tight end, Trey Burton. Trey Burton did have a big play in the Super Bowl on one of the top teams. How can these guys compete? And I'm asking, I'm not even saying.
And he did get Allen Robinson, but I don't know how much that's going to help either.
Okay, good point, too. I don't know how well is Gabriel going to do when he's the number 2 receiver. How well is Trey Burton going to do because he's not going to be a backup type. He used to be in the backup, coming in after Ertz and getting some clock. The Zach Miller still will probably never play football again after that gruesome injury last year. He's the guy now. How's he going to play being the guy? Some guys are really good captains, and some guys are really good crews. And I think the guys they got are really good crew guys, but not very good captains.
Well, and speaking of really good crew guys, Julio Jones is not reporting to camp for the Falcons this year. He is reportedly holding out until he signs a better contract with the Atlanta Falcons. It is reported that he will get fined $40,000 a day not coming to camp. Do you guys think it's time to pay Julio? Billy, let's go ahead and start with you.
I'm gonna cop out here. I'm going to say yes, only because just for this reason, just because NFL contracts aren't guaranteed, these guys get hurt and they just get thrown away. But to my real answer, I'm going to say no, because he just signed a deal in 2015, 5 years, $71 million. And now you're already searching for a new deal 2 seasons later? When, honestly, I think Julio Jones is overrated as a receiver. He's really, really good. 6'5", 4'4", 4'3". He can run like the wind, can jump. But he drops a lot of passes in big-time situations. And it happened again last year in the playoffs. What happened in the right corner of that end zone? He dropped the pass on a guy that was probably 4 inches shorter than him when he had the ball. I think it'll be a big mistake if they go ahead and re-sign him right away with 3 years left on his deal. I mean, dude, you just signed this contract. You literally just signed it.
Matthew, what are your thoughts?
Hey, Billy was talking about a cop-out answer. I got a cop-out answer for you. Do you, and I say that to both teams, do you, how the kids say it, do whatever you do. Look, I get it. Julio, if you're Julio Jones, you say, I'm a beast. I'm one of the best receivers in the league. This is Julio talking to himself. I'm one of the best receivers in the league. My window is closing. I need money for the rest of my life. I need it now. And the Falcons are sitting back and saying, we just paid you, like Billy said. You're one of the best receivers, in my opinion, you're one of the best receivers between the 20, the Super Bowl against the Patriots when he had that great toe tag. But then again, inside the 20s, I don't know when the last time you had double-digit touchdowns was, i.e., dropped to, like you were saying, Billy, in the end zone in the playoffs. So if you're the Falcons, you're sitting there saying, I could probably get better for cheaper, or at least not notice the difference. So now you got two sides who are telling themselves what the right answer is. I will never dog anybody for chasing that bread. I will never dog any
except for LeBron James, right?
But no, I wasn't talking. I was just saying you all had his priorities messed up. So let's not go back to that. I will never dog the organization for saving their money. The only question you got to ask: who is willing to hold out longer? Is Julio willing to pay that $40,000 a day and say, "Hey, I got mine"? Is the Falcons prepared to play without their number one receiver? It'd be interesting to see. Whoever, that's all business ever is. Who has the leverage and who has to give up sooner? Right now, it looks like the Falcons have the leverage with Matt Ryan, with the two running backs. It looks they just drafted Calvin Ridley, so I assume they have the leverage. And then, of course, you got that whole part where legally binding, Julio is under contract, so he will have to lose some money while trying to gain money. So I think the Falcons have the leverage. So I think he will return. But
so let me ask you this. Let me ask us this. Do you guys think at the end of the day, money isn't the big thing for him? He just doesn't want to play the preseason. He doesn't want to risk injury, getting hurt in the preseason games. He doesn't want to risk, putting 4 extra games on his aging legs. Do you think at the end of the day he just doesn't want to play preseason games, Billy?
No, I think it's about money. He's going to see a lot of guys get paid. A lot of guys are making more than him right now, and he's looking at it like, listen. Just like Matthew said, I'm pretty sure he's thinking to himself, I'm the best receiver in the NFL. I deserve whatever it is I'm asking for. So I think he's in it to make money. I think about all the receivers that's making more money than him. Antonio Brown is making $17 million. Mike Evans, $16.5 million. DeAndre Hopkins, $16.2. Sammy Watkins, $16 million. Jarvis Landry, $15.9. He's not even in the top 10 of receivers. He's right at number 8 at 14, but he's behind Devontae Adams, who I don't think is a better receiver.
Well, Billy, let me ask you this.
About money.
Well, Billy, let me ask you this. Do you see Julio Jones being a top 10 receiver in the NFL?
I think Julio Jones is the third best receiver in the NFL.
Okay.
Behind Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham.
Okay. Matthew, what are your thoughts on that?
So
real quick, I think you almost got to start pushing him behind Hopkins out of the Texans, but that's clearly
true too. I'm a big DeAndre Hopkins fan. I agree.
This year will
So
definitely
I thought
tell
about
that.
what my thought about what Bucky said. I don't think it's about preaching. I do think it's about money. Everything goes into what you just said. He's the eighth highest highest paid receiver. Also, that money goes quick when you're in NFL, because you got to look, all the taxes, you pay for security, you pay for all these extra things to keep you through your career, and then when you get out, you don't have lifetime insurance. You got to start paying for that out of pocket. Which I know that sounds like we're picking on things and they're making millions, but the injuries they got to deal with is absurd. Then here's the bigger point. I sit back and notice. You hear this the most. Now, granted, I do know it's a part of preseason. It is the camp. It's when guys are starting to think about it. But I think what these NFL players who are talking holdout here Julio Jones isn't hearing what 8 other receivers make more than me. They just turned on ESPN, and they seen backup point guard in the NBA making more than me.
Yeah.
They see, number 5 best player on this team making more than me. Now, I know we talked with Le'Veon Bell. You chose your sport. You got to deal with it. But in their mind, they're thinking, how is Matthew Dellavedova making more than me? How is Jeremy Lin making as much? So.
And when an average life of a NFL player is only 5 to 6 years, and an average life of an NBA player is 10 years. So, I mean, I get the point there.
Julio Jones, if that was the case, he should have worked on a jump shot and tried to go that route. But I'm thinking from his standpoint, he's sitting there like, how? And the NBA got guaranteed contracts. The NBA gets jersey sales, which I know the NFL does too. But let's face it, if you're the face of an NBA team, they literally know your face. People love you. You're on billboards.
Yep.
Julio Jones, if you look at this, if you see Julio Jones on a commercial, he is wearing his football outfit. He's in Papa John's. He's in Domino's. He's in Sears. He's in Walmart. He's driving a car in his football stuff. That shows you how that they don't even trust that the face you will know. They say, hey, if you got to recognize this as Julio Jones, we got to slap this number 11 jersey on. So I'm sure seeing all that in the offseason really starts like driving on these guys' nerves. But they are going to take a bigger beat.
And Matthew, to your point, you said earlier, you don't know when the last time he had double-digit touchdowns. That's another reason why I'm not high on him, because to that point, he hasn't had double-digit touchdowns since 2012.
Right, exactly. And
so he's not a big touchdown guy.
And by what Bucky said, the law of averages. Now I know the stars last a little longer. 2012 was over 5 years ago, which Bucky just said is the average of most careers. Now Julio's going to play longer than that, obviously, but when you go someone's career without reaching a milestone, the likelihood of you continue to reach that consistently diminishes. So
I mean, yeah, he's had 10 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns since the 10 touchdown season. He had 2 touchdowns the next season, 6 touchdowns the season after that, 8, 6, and then last year he only had 3 touchdowns.
But at the same time,
searching for a new deal with that production.
But at the same time, like, you have to look of who he had around him. He didn't have anybody. Julio was the man, so they were double and triple and teaming him every game.
People, they had Sanu. They had both those back.
No,
so did
he
Calvin
was the
Johnson.
man.
And Calvin Johnson was putting up double-digit touchdown seasons. I'm just saying, if you're telling me this guy's the best receiver in the NFL, you got to get more than 3 touchdowns
I'm
on
not saying
88
he's the best
receptions.
at all.
Who does Hopkins have around him?
That's a good point.
You just have to, because a lot of the top analysts, they consider Julio as the best receiver. A lot of the big NFL analysts. You have to have more than 3 touchdowns.
You're right.
You have to have more than 3. And in 2 seasons, you only had 9 touchdowns in 2 seasons. You have to do better.
Billy, I'm right there with you. And let me add another point. Did you know, let's just talk history. We're talking Dan Marino and Steve Young and all those, that Drew Brees and Matt Stafford has had multiple better years by number than they ever have. And the reason that is because it's a different time. So you mean to tell me in an era where it used to be unheard of for a quarterback to throw 40 touchdowns, it happens every year now. So in an era where people are slinging the ball 40 and 50 touchdowns are happening like it's 20 touchdowns, you're supposed to be the number one receiver, and you can't get in the end zone more than 3 times, you're not elite. Like I said, best receiver between the 20s. Something happens when he gets at that 20. I don't want to hear about the weapons because Hopkins played with much worse. Now Brown.
Calvin Johnson was getting triple teamed.
All right, let me go ahead and just stop you guys right there. Let me one-word answer to this question. Does Julio Jones report to camp? Yes or no, Billy?
Yes.
Matthew?
Camp? No.
To camp? No.
Season? Yes.
All righty, and we're going to go ahead and end the show right there. We're meeting up against a timeline here. As always, guys, thanks for joining us. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share it once with your friends. We'll be back live on Thursday at noon Eastern Time. Have a good one. Bye.